So in our last video, you may remember we built this trail which leads into a road gap back there. But I've got some bad news. We need to close it down because we just built a whole new start to the trail. But before we jump into that, we got some work to do. We got some tools to fix and we got some benching down lower to finish off the trail. So without further ado, let's get building. So last week I broke the come along, so let's fix that real quick. Alright, the next thing we're fixing is this drill. It's been a while since I've soldered anything, so let's see how this goes. Alright, I have one more thing I need to fix. These do come with a lifetime warranty, but I was too lazy to contact them, so I just ordered another one. So we fixed everything we broke. Let's start building. Alright, so in the last video, we built the road gap followed by this triple. But we still have some things after this turn to finish up. So right now we're going to do a little bench cutting, and there's a bit of a marshy section down there that we need to fill in with rock to give it a good riding base before we build trail on it. So it's up, Haley.
I see the spot.
What? How? It's amazing how much faster this comes together when you have a few sets of helping hands. So today Haley's off from work and we have another helping hand. One of our patrons is here and helped move some rock for us, and we would not have been able to do this in less than an hour if it wasn't for extra hands, because this was some heavy lifting. Alright, now we just need to crush some gravel and kind of smooth it out a little bit, but otherwise this is looking really good. Initially, I had thought about building a wooden feature over this, but that's a lot of lumber to haul out here, and I can use that lumber elsewhere. I still have plans to do something cool with it somewhere else on this trail. Building things out of dirt and gravel, especially rocks, like rocks aren't going to go anywhere, and since this is a bit of like a wet area, it just makes sense to try to build something that's erosion resistant. So, alright, let's go. I guess now it's time to go crush some rocks. As you can see, this is almost all done. We got a little bit more rock crushing to do, but I think we're going to call it a lunchtime break here and head inside, take a break, take a shower, eat some food, and come back out in a few and finish this up. Alright, so before we jump into next workday, I want to show you something. I just picked this up very recently. This is a boot dryer. I was having issues where I'd be done with trail work and my boots and my gloves would be soaked the next day, even after I left them out in the sun. So obviously if you live in the Northeast, a lot of you have boot dryers for ski stuff, but I've never owned one. So I finally picked one up and holy crap, it is amazing. These things are literally soaked at the end of the day. I throw my boots on that, and then the next morning my gear is completely dry. So it's a small inconvenience, but it's a small convenience, but makes a big difference. Alright, so as you can see, we did a lot of work to this yesterday in a short amount of time. Today we're going to finish this up, go to prevent any rocks from wobbling. So we're going to crush some gravel, and I might use some wood stakes on the outside to hold things in place until everything settles. Alright, so I've talked about this a little bit, but a lot of people will still ask me what this is. And this is a bug net, and I can put it up over my head and zip it up to keep the bugs completely out of me, but this is just a good way to kind of let air flow while still keeping the mosquitoes and horseflies away from me while I'm building. Now, it's not exactly the same as not wearing one. Like, the airflow is restricted a little bit, but on days where it's not super hot out, I'll put this on, especially when it's super buggy, because the bugs get super annoying out here. So, but other times the bugs are not that bad, so I just won't wear it. Or maybe sometimes it's just too hot, so I'd rather deal with the bugs than be sweating. So, it really depends on the day. So the last time I was crushing rock, a lot of people kept commenting that I should use like a smaller sledgehammer, I should, use a machine, I should use fire to break up the rocks. I'm like, hey, I don't want to start a forest fire. And I did try a hand sledgehammer, and I preferred this guy. I just preferred the bigger one. It might have been a little bit more awkward to use, but it seemed to be more effective. Yeah, this looks like a lot of work, and it is, but I enjoy it. It's good exercise, so it's kind of nice to be doing something physical. There are quicker ways to do this. I could use a drill. Honestly, I don't even think using a drill would be any quicker to drill a bunch of pilot holes. Maybe if I'm trying to do a clean cut on a big rock, I'd do that. But for these small rocks, that doesn't make sense. So there is a reason to the madness of how I build, and a lot of people would probably bridge this, and yeah, that's cool. I thought about it, but I decided that with how many rocks there were very close by, that it just made more sense to use the rocks that were right here instead of going to the store, buying some lumber, and then importing that in. That being said, I will be using lumber on this trail. I just think there are better places to use it, because lumber does cost money and rocks are free, so might as well use what's free. Alright, that being said, I do want to try the drill on this guy, because this guy is stubborn. These skinny ones break super easily. These guys, I could probably break this, but I could probably break this if I kept going at it, but we're gonna test out the drill and see how that goes this time. Well, I was originally pounding that rock in, or trying to smash that rock, because it was sticking up quite a bit. But after hitting it a few times and breaking it a little bit, it's at the height that I want. So I guess there's no more need to hit it with the smashy. Alright, so now that we got this marshy section taken care of, we're going to head back towards where we left off in the last build and start bench cutting this a little bit. I don't know what kind of features I want to put here yet, but I do want to put one or two things in here to make this interesting, so it's not just a bench trail, because that gets boring. So to get a good clean working slate, I'm going to bench cut it, and that will give us a good idea of what we can do if we need to berm that back there, or Alright, so now that we got this marshy section rocked over so it's ready to roll, we're going to head back to where we left off in the last video and continue from there on. So we're going to start bench cutting this area to give us a good working platform to build trail on. Topsoil. Alright, so here's a tip for digging through this organic topsoil when it's super rooty. I use a pickaxe like this. This is a Pickmatic. It has kind of an axe head side, and then it has a typical kind of benching side. I'm not sure what these things are exactly called, but so it has two ends. It has this kind of typical blade that you'd find on a pickaxe. Then it has kind of more of a pickaxe side to it. And I find this one to be my favorite tool to use for benching. I've used other tools, and this one is the one that I come back to the most. Now here's why. So if I'm trying to bench in a line, I'll use this. But on a lot of this top stuff right here, I'll cut a line with this guy towards me. So, and then I've essentially made this easier to pull off in a chunk. So if I just went up here, I can essentially roll this off like sod. But I'm gonna leave it here for now. But I'm gonna use that same technique behind me on that piece over there. And that's what I found to be one of the easiest ways to work through this organic layer. Because otherwise you're just gonna be battling with it. Pack the dirt we threw here after we bench cut this yesterday. And the tool I'm going to use, because I found that it works very well, is the cart behind me when I load it up with some heavy stuff like rocks. Because there's a very little surface area on those tires, they dig right in, but they're still not that. So once we load the car up with rocks and stuff, it'll start to add pressure to the dirt and compact it, but at the same time, it doesn't dig in so much that we can't pull the cart. So it's basically mimics a bike tire, which is perfect because it's the right amount of packing you need. A lot of people say I need to get a tamper or something. Yeah, I'm not going to bother with that because I don't want to use gas. I don't want to haul that out here. And furthermore, I don't like how they... Furthermore, I've used them, and frankly, I don't think they do a great job unless you're building like a pump track or something like that. So anyway, let's get to it. This thing at the Habitat for Humanity for like $1.50, and yeah, it's beat up, but hey, gets the job done. So I was super. Alright, so I found this rock bar at the Habitat for Humanity. I think it used to have some other kind of bubble here. Sometimes they have that to help give it leverage, but or maybe they're just going hardcore and just like really took a dent out of it. But either way, for $1.50, I couldn't pass this thing up. I love rock bars. This one is actually better than a lot of ones I've used because it's a little thicker. It doesn't bend as much, but There's still a few rock bars that I want to get that are even better, but this thing for $1.50 does its job. Too big for what we're looking for, and I can't dig down because there's roots from the hemlock tree right there. So let's see if I can break it up into smaller pieces, kind of fill in some of the space. Alright, check out this break. Check out that break. That's what you're looking for right there. I don't know if you could hear that. The second to last hit was like very high pitched, and this last hit was a little bit more hollow. That means we just cracked it somewhere. I think it's right here. Oh yeah! Woohoo! That's a nice break. add this to the tools that I need to fix. Alright, so I filled up the memory card on my normal camera, so I'm talking to you guys on my GoPro. This is where I'm going to call it a day. I'm pretty satisfied with how much work we were able to get done here. It's not that much lengthwise, but the amount of dirt and rock removed is pretty astounding. I'm going to call it a day and pick this up tomorrow, and hopefully we can start working on the cool things, because now we have most of the infrastructure down here built, and I think it's ready for some cool stuff. Alright, so we're actually going to switch up what we were originally going to do. Originally we were going to go straight and go further out before we made our switchback turn. But after kind of looking at the terrain and looking at what we had to work with, I've decided it might be easier if we start to cut up a little bit earlier. There's a few more mounds of dirt to work with, so that will make the building process go a little bit easier. And then there's a space out there that has very few trees that will make bench cutting a switchback turn super easy. The other spot that I was looking at doing a bench cut turn had a lot of things to work around, and it would have been a really tight, steep turn, which isn't ideal. So I think this other reroute is going to be a little bit better. So sometimes when you go into building a project, you have a general layout, but after you kind of stare at the terrain a little bit more, you find a better solution, and I think we just found a better solution. So you can see the old path is like kind of over there. That's what we originally scratched in, but I've put up some flags to kind of give you an indication of where we're going to head instead, because that's a pile of dirt, and then behind that is another pile of dirt. So that shouldn't make bench cutting that easy, because we just have to pull dirt down instead of trying to find material to fill with this crap. So let's get to it. Alright, so we were originally going to build the switchback on the inside of this rake, but as we raked this out, I found a lot of extra rocks, roots, and it's super loamy, so not only that, but there's a really steep pitch right there, so that'd make a really awkward switchback. So instead, we're going to opt to go to this outside line that I just raked out that goes about 20 feet wider and makes the turn at a more gradual area. This will hopefully lead to a better product. That's the thing with building. Sometimes you go into a project with a certain loose plan, and you even tweak that plan a little bit along the way, and then the plan that you tweaked, you might even have to deviate from that. So one of the most important things about trail building is being open to changing your plan. Like, it's really hard to go into a project and have 100% clear idea what you're going to do. Sometimes it's just best to go into a project with a beginning and an end and be open to change as you go along the way with the project. So anyway, we're gonna get back to building and build this switchback, and that should be the last part of this build. Oh, I'm so frustrated at myself. This is the second time I've brought my hammer drill down to take care of a rock. And, well, I've got to put the hammer drill bit in the box, so I can't use it until I go back to the house, which is a walk away, so I'm just gonna do it tomorrow or something. Ugh, I hate when I do this. Like, I literally took the drill bits and put them in a nice little carrying case so they wouldn't fly around as I transported them down here, but yeah, apparently I forgot to put that in my bag as I came down here. Ugh, I hate that. Alright, so we got a good amount of rain last night, which is actually good because it helped pack the soil. But one thing we need to do is we need to fix this sledgehammer. How do you get this thing out? I mean, I could burn this, but I don't want to start a fire. Alright, YouTube, let's do this. How to remove broken handle. Alright, this guy's basically doing what I was attempting to do. Alright. Alright, that's where I'm going to draw the line with this. So I'm going to come back to this with a different tool because it's not budging and spending a lot of energy on it. There's a lot of other things I could be doing with that time. So let's at least work on this and see if we can get rid of that guy. I've definitely gotten bigger rocks out of holes before, but that goes pretty deep in there, so this guy was actually pretty tricky. And I'm bleeding. I have to say, this cart does an amazing job packing. Once you load it up with rocks and go over it a few times, it's just like you rode over it a bunch of times, and now it's packed. So we got a few divots that we might want to smooth out, but for right now, that's fine. We're gonna go work on this section above and kind of clean up the bench cut. So there's no packable dirt here to surface this trail. It's all just loamy duff that just doesn't pack. So if we want to have a good riding surface, we're gonna have to go look elsewhere. And I know just a spot where we can find some gravel to make this nice and hard. All right, so as you can see here, the little stream has overflown, and well, all this is essentially gravel and sand. So this is perfect for what we need. So let's go ahead and get digging. Well, alright, now that we've got this gravel here, I think this basically concludes all the work we need to do to the climb. So from here on up, we can head up to the top and start working on the cool thing. So we're in the garage today because it's raining outside, and that's actually fine because this part of the project, we don't need to be outside. We're actually going to be in the garage building something out of lumber. Now, I'm going to try to do something that I've seen done at Highland Mountain Bike Park, where you use strips of plywood glued together to create structural beams. And what I want to do is I want to create a nice rounded arc, like a rainbow rail, but instead of a rainbow rail, a rainbow bridge. There's several areas where it could go on this next trail, so we're going to build the stringers right now and see how that goes. So we're going to need to cut some pieces of wood up. We're going to need to glue them together, and yeah. So let's give it a shot. So I also picked up a table saw. I've never owned a table saw, so this is kind of exciting. They seem very useful, but this is the cheapest one they had, so I'm not expecting much out of it. As long as it can cut these pieces of plywood nice and straight, that's all I care about. Okay, so I have this set to just shy of 3 inches to account for the material that the blade takes off each cut. And so the idea is the pieces of plywood over there measure 24 inches wide because it's a 4-foot piece of plywood that was cut down in half. And I think I can get a few strips out of that and make one beam out of one of those 2-foot pieces. So that's the goal. It's kind of an experiment, so I don't even know if this is going to work. So let's see how it goes. So this measures 3, just an 8 under 3 inches. This measures just an 8 under 3 inches. So whatever I do is perfect. I have an idea here. Look at that. That's some good distance. I'm going back. All right, so here we have what's going to be one stringer, and what we're going to do is we're eventually going to bend it and then glue it into place. So I think once it's glued, this should be plenty strong. Maybe even overkill. So we'll see how that goes. But for now, we have to cut up another one of these. Alright, if there's one thing I've learned from this is that A, glue is freaking messy and I need something to pour the glue with, and B, I need way more clamps than I have. This is definitely not enough, so I'm not sure how this guy's going to come out. I'm kind of skeptical that the integrity of this guy is going to be good. But I think the second one I'll build will be better. But we'll have to find out. Alright, so we got some clamps and a kitty litter box because we actually did invest in a cat. That being said, time to clamp this some more. Alright, so it's the next day, and I know I'm already going to have to redo this. You know how I know why? Well, let's check this out. Alright, so you know how I know this isn't going to work? So when I went to the store to buy glue, so the first thing I did is I looked for the glue and went straight to the back. And I was looking at the uses, and I saw the things I was looking for exterior use. So I was like, perfect. This is exactly what I need, so I grabbed it. But yesterday, when I was at the hardware store buying extra clamps, I saw this glue. And this one was intriguing because it said waterproof and exterior use. So I picked this up too. When I came back, I decided to take a look at the back of this again. And I completely disregarded these words. For exterior projects, use Title Bond 2 or 3. So this guy is not going to work for our project. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the curve that we already built, but we'll find a good use for it. If nothing else, it was a good practice trial run before we actually go to build our real version of this. So, oops, oh well. You can see it definitely started to come delaminated in here, so I don't know if I didn't put enough glue or whatnot. So I think this definitely warrants a redo. This was a good attempt, and I'm glad I had a practice attempt. Let's actually do it for real this time. Alright, now that I'm done cutting and stuff, I've closed the garage door, and we have a friend. This is Smokey. So, remember when I said I was going to adopt a cat? Yep, here we go. This is Smokey's first time in the garage, and she's going to hang out with me as I'm gluing this stuff up. So hopefully this, I won't have any more if I do any more cutting, I'm going to bring her inside so the noise doesn't bother her. But she got super spooked when I closed the garage door because she doesn't like those kind of noises. So she's a little stressed out right now. She's investigating all the things. She's never been in here, so there's a lot of new smells and stuff. Maybe some mice. Smokey, what do you think? You think it's gonna fail? You don't seem very confident in my Alright, I'm honestly not sure how this is gonna turn out. I have a sneaking suspicion I need to put way more glue on it. It's been sitting here for about, I don't know, about 6 to 8 hours. So we're gonna go ahead and take out the clamps and see if it holds. Theoretically, it takes 24 hours to completely dry, but it should be pretty set within 30 minutes. I think we've waited enough time, so fingers crossed. Okay, I'm gonna set up and do another, but this time I picked up some of these clamps that make this process a lot easier, because the thing that I was running into is I was spending a lot of time twisting those things, and I don't know if the glue was drying up before I could get it fully clamped, so I wanted to make sure I could at least get the ones on the end set up and straight before the glue dried too much. And at this point, you're probably thinking I'm a huge DeWalt fanboy, or I'm sponsored by DeWalt, which I wish I was. But no, these were literally the only kind of clamps like this that Home Depot had, and they're on sale. So I just picked up a bunch of them, and should make this job go a lot quicker. I don't know what these are called, but I definitely like these for initiating the clamp, but I prefer the C and F style clamps for the rest of the actual holding, because they seem a little bit more secure. But yeah, I'm going to get more of these because these things were super useful. Alright, so I've let this dry overnight. It's time to unclamp this and see how this one came out. Alright, this one definitely came out much better. I think I learned a lot through doing this process a few times to kind of figure out what worked and what didn't. So if you're thinking about doing this, just keep in mind that your first few might not come out. I have very little woodworking experience, so you know, I didn't know what I was doing going into this. Anyway, the one thing I want to test is how strong is this? Let's see if I can sit on top of it and see if it holds up. Oh yeah, that's not even flexing. That, whew. Okay, I think that's actually ridiculously strong. Yeah, I'm actually really impressed. Hopefully it holds up to the weather though. That's the one thing that I'm a little concerned about. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and build a second curve, but this one's going to be a little bit less aggressive. This will probably be a valley. So the original feature I built was going to be a peak, a hill, and this is going to be the valley. So yeah, we're going to mark this out and get to it. I put some spacers in here to kind of get a sense of what the curvature is going to look like, and I've tweaked it a little bit, and I think I'm happy with how this looks. I think we're finally at a point where we can start bringing these arches down to the trail system. Alright, so this morning I brought the arches out and we're ready to get going. But the first thing we need to do is reroute the trail. We were originally starting over there, which gave us a really awkward kind of run into the road gap. So we're going to reroute it and put it more straight in line with the road gap. But the other benefit of that is this is one of the only sections where we're pretty far from a lot of the trees, which should make digging the post holes a lot easier. So with that being said, let's get going. So that's 3 feet deep, and luckily we were able to find a little groove between these two big rocks. Honestly, if I kept digging away, I probably could have gotten rid of that guy, but we're not going to go do that because we don't have to. So we're going to put the posts right there, and I haven't decided how high off the ground I want the feature yet. So we're going to go get the posts and bring them over here and kind of make the call from there. Alright, so I just hiked out a bunch of lumber out here, and we're going to get started putting in the first sets of poles to see how this comes out. Not messing around with screws this time. That should be. Alright, those seem pretty level enough, so we're going to start filling it with dirt. Hammer.
I can bring some your way.
What's that? Can I have some, that's it. Can I have the pry bar? Alright, so one trick that I like to use when I'm trying to cut a bunch of pieces all at a similar length is I'll lock it to the length it's supposed to go and just butt up against the edge here, and I'll score the board with the end of the tape measure. For some reason this just works for me, and I don't need to use a pencil to mark it or anything, so this is what I've been using pretty much on all my projects, and it works pretty well. It's probably not perfect, but it gets the job done. And then can we just small screws.
These are them?
Yeah.
How many?
I'll get them.
Oh.
I'm just gonna tack this in place. Fuck, I didn't fucking mark the height that I wanted. Fuck me. Okay, let's do this again.
Do you have a pencil?
Yeah.
Okay. Something like that.
Do you have it?
Yeah.
It's gonna.
I have.
Okay, pull your arms up. Okay. Right. The height's good. That's gonna.
I have it, so do whatever you need to do.
Okay, about 15 inches. Okay, you're good. I didn't drill here. That's solid. There you go. Alright, I'm really stoked how that first set of posts came out. It seems like it's really solid. I need to put in 2 more sets. I'm going to put in right here before the end of this feature, and then one in the middle where the 2 curves meet to support both sides. I think from there I'll be able to support it maybe with some 2x6s and stake it into the ground for additional support, but I think with those 3 sets of posts itself, it should have enough structural support that's not going to want to move. But I guess I got some digging to do, so let's get to it. Alright, I was able to get that far side 36 inches deep, which is way more than enough for this piece. It should only be sticking out about 15 inches anyway. So on this side, it's 32 inches because there's a rock. Not sure if you can see right there. And that's right where we want to put the post, so it's really awkward. Then there's another rock right over there, and those 2 just don't want to move. They're pretty big. So I'm probably going to build up the surface about 32 inches here and pack that down nice and good and call that a day, because that should be enough, but that one will be a little bit deeper over there. Haley's coming with some gifts.
Come bearing gifts. I put it with this one.
Yeah. And both of them fall over.
I was ready for that. Hello.
Hello. Perfect timing because I just finished a hole. We got 2 Alright, so we have 2 posts done. Now we're going to get started on the last one, and we should be pretty close to the end. So this one took me about 2-3 hours to do, well, at least dig. Guess we'll be out here until pretty late at night, so I'll probably be out here until 7 o'clock at night, but I think we should be able to get this planked up by tonight. If not, we'll come out tomorrow morning and do it then.
Martin.
It's off. So if you learned anything, it's not very efficient to have two. So if you've learned anything, it's not much more efficient to have two people digging a hole because you can only have one person in there at a time. So what we found is we'll have one person jump in with a pickaxe, loosen up the dirt, and then the second person jump in and excavate the dirt. We just keep rotating. That way we're always nice and rested, and we can bust this out. Alright, this is a pro move to get out of the hole that you've just dug. Gonna use a Alright, so if I've learned anything from putting up the second post is having some of those stringy things like that is probably super handy because we were getting super frustrated trying to line the first and second post up. We're having a lot of trouble with that, but we got it eventually. But this time we're using that. Hopefully that should make this a lot easier. Still straight, we're good.
Yay!
Alright, let's take these two. Well, I guess we can leave them up just. They're not doing anything right now.
Here, let's clean up our space, get everything together, and figure out what we need. You know, move stuff we don't need out of the way. Like that. Can I undo these clamps?
Yeah. So.
Is that an angle?
Yeah. Take those two out while you're there.
Yeah. I need that.
First,
Second?
we'll put one of these up. Yeah, let's undo that one.
Oh, I have that bit.
It's not even attached.
No, I was wondering why it was that board was wiggling a lot.
Ow. My toes are like done with these boots.
Do you have the pencil ready to mark? It's on by the measuring tape.
Struggling. Here, let me just watch
Well,
and not help you at all.
for whatever reason, I'm like freaked out by certain woods without gloves on and then splinters.
Alright, let it rest on.
On that? These ends aren't touching.
Yeah, I'm trying to push it towards you. Can you pull it?
Oh, okay.
Okay. Okay, we'll make this in line with this post. Okay, that guy needs to go.
Down. Or just go up.
Whoa, definitely down. Push that way.
This?
The one you're holding. That's a bit more secure.
Yeah.
So this stage is actually a little bit of like finagling to get these two things to work together. So we're gonna have to kind of just adjust. We're gonna have to make a bunch of adjustments until it just fits right, because it's a little bit iffy right now. How the fuck are you not touching? I don't get it. I fucking... What? Follow me. That's all I think.
Is there a breaking on you?
I don't know. Sure. I don't think so. There's a
Oh, weird. I think you got
Right. We're not even gonna go.
Nice. Holy.
Go ahead, hold. Yeah, hold this. Hold it flush with this.
Oh. I was like, what the heck?
I have to thank Seth for these extra long lag bolts. They came in super handy for this. Alright, so we have all this set up. I think we're going to call it a night, go get some food, and deck this all tomorrow. I was hoping to get that done tonight, but a few of these things took a little bit longer than I expected, especially like figuring out how to match this angle and this angle. There's a few more quirks than I was expecting, so you know, that's just the way projects go. Alright, today. We should be able to finish this project today. We have a few more things that we need to do, such as adding a few more 2x6s to help support like the bottom piece over here and the ends over there. And then once we're done with that, we can start decking it. And after that, we have to build the landing. So with that being said, let's get to work. Theoretically, should fit about perfect in this groove. Cool. Cool. Just nice and snug. It may not be tall enough.
Look at Toad. Hi, Toad. Toad.
Alright, these weren't quite meeting up super flush, so I'm going to go ahead and trim down the end of this board so when we put the decking on, it's not wobbling around. Cool. Alright, I'm really stoked at how this is looking. So we're basically done. Well, we're done with the woodworking aspect of this. Now we just need to do some dirt work. We need to build the landing and build the run-in, and that should complete this feature, but I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty tired. Like, I didn't get that much sleep last night, and working today, I've been working on fumes, but I really want to push through and get this built and maybe get a few runs in on this before the day's end. So What I can do is add some epoxy to those
to seal it off.
to really hold it in place. Alright, so we got the run-in dialed. Now we're going to move on to the landing, and that's the last thing we have to do, but we have a lot of dirt to move, so let's get to it. Alright, before you build the landing, I want to see how much speed we get from this feature to determine where we're going to place the landing. So I'm going to do a hook to flat over here, and yeah, we'll go from there. It feels really good.
That's awesome. You landed right where we expected.
If that was a high-speed section, that would feel like crap because it's a really steep curve. But because it's the first feature, and this is what you're generating speed from, it feels really good as is. So my guesstimation worked pretty flawlessly. You can probably hear that, but it just started raining on us, so I really hope we can get this finished before it starts raining too heavily. Alright, we're at the point where this is finally starting to take shape and it's getting exciting. Like, I'm really starting to like what I'm seeing. We've been in this point where it's like just been like we're throwing dirt, we're not making any progress, but now we're breaking through, we see the light at the end of the tunnel, and yeah, this is going to look good. We just need to kind of clean this up, and I say we have 30 minutes left, so by building time that means we have an hour left. Alright, at this point, I doubt the camera can really see anything. I'm having a really hard time seeing in here, so I think we're going to call it a night. That being said, I do want to give it a test run and see how it rides, so let's go do that. Like, that's a proper start to a trail.
All of our hard work.
I was definitely a little apprehensive. I was skeptical that it was going to come out as good as I hoped.
That's satisfying.
Now that third feature needs to get better. Good job. I'll clean up in the morning. So now that we've got the feature built and the lighting is good, let's show you how this rides. This whale tail is going to be the entrance feature for Toad's Road. It's kind of the squirrel catcher, if you will. It's going to set the bar for how much speed you need for the road gap behind. You only need to come into this at a crawl, and then that will set you up for the road gap. So let's show you. Being able to do like a full loop like that really adds a lot to this area. It was kind of annoying to have to, after you hit that feature, having to walk up to the top instead of being able to ride up. But now that we built the climb, it rides really good.
Okay,
Alright, so with this feature, I wanted to build this feature both me friendly and beginner friendly. So you will notice when I'm going slow, I do have to pop off this quite a bit to make it to the landing. But we built this safety case plate for anyone who comes and wants to try sending it who might not be able to make it to the ideal landing. So my hope is maybe Haley or some of our guests that come over can actually hit this, so it's not just a me only kind of feature. I do want other people to be able to ride this, and I think this will help, no pun intended, will bridge the gap. So let me show you what this looks like if you come up slow.
I don't think I'll be going that slow, so.
So my biggest goal was making a feature that Haley would be able to work up to someday. She might not be able to hit it today, but who knows? Maybe she's feeling a little frisky. I was not expecting you to send it. I thought for sure you were going to do just a test run.
That's what I meant by if the landing's close enough, I'm gonna try it. The landing's far away, that's a different story. Out of the context of this whole thing, I wasn't so concerned about the gap encasing it. I was more concerned about the turn and being able to make it over this without a lot of speed. It's just kind of funny how certain aspects of a feature, sometimes I'm concerned about the landing, and other times I'm not concerned about that at all. I'm concerned about the actual entrance. So now that I know how fast I have to go and that I won't stall on the up, I can try it faster and actually clear it. Wow, you do gain so much speed coming off that though, even when you case it. Like, I'm just barely stopping before the drop.
I'm stoked that like you're able to hit this. Like I know you're not like cleaning it as much as you want, but you're doing it.
Yeah.
This is something to work up to. Alright, there's one thing I need to try. See if it goes well.
I didn't think you're actually going to send it off the drop.
I felt good. Alright, well, thanks for hanging out with me while we built our playground. If you like what you see and you want to see more content like this, be sure to subscribe and like this video. As always, my name is Phil Metz. Thanks for playing bikes with me today, and I'll see you guys next time.